Hey, what's up everybody? This is Power Glove Pixels. On today's video, I'm gonna be talking about my computer, what computer I'm running. But the video is gonna be about my new graphics card that I just bought, which is the AMD Radeon Vega 64. What are my thoughts? How is it performing against my 1080 GX? And yeah, so this is pretty much going to be a video of me discussing of my computer and how has it been running in general. So let's begin. So before we get to my story on the computers, on this video, you guys can see, if you guys are wondering what type of monitor I have, I'm using an LG ultra wide 21.9 I believe, and it's FreeSynced. And because I have a AMD graphics card, it goes perfect. And honestly guys, this is something you guys have to see to believe it, honestly, because honestly before I was using just a regular monitor or a TV monitor that was actually bigger and stuff. But once you go to FreeSync, it gives you that buttery, smooth, free lag, stutter. It just looks amazing. I definitely recommend it. But like always, you have to see it to believe it. This is the type of experience, kind of like VR and stuff. It's like you have to experience it. If I just say it, it's like, okay, what about it? You know what I mean? It's not gonna make a difference. But honestly, if you just, were just to sit down and try one of these with an AMD, or if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, I believe it's the G-Synced, and but depending what graphics card you have. But either way, using this technology is just amazing. The next item in my computer setup, I have Alienware keyboard. This is a 2017, the AW7. This is a great keyboard for gaming. Now it's a little pricey, but because I'm a big Alienware fan, I usually buy their accessories. There's other accessories that are great as well, like the Corsair, and there's so many. But for me personally, I like this this keyboard. It just feels great. It's a combination of mechanical and smoothness, and I like it. And just the way it feels. With the colors, you can program the colors however you want them to light up, and the possibilities are endless. The next item that we have here is the mouse. Now the mouse is great as well, and I like about it because you can customize it, and it's great because just the way it feels great for gaming. And yeah, definitely I recommend it. I bought these two, I should say, as a bundle when it was on sale, and yeah, I got a pretty good bargain on these. Also, for my speakers, I'm also using some LG. So if you guys are wondering, I'm a big LG fan. I don't know, I always like LG. I also have another 4K TV as well, where my Xbox and my gaming is at, and that's also a 4K. So that's pretty much my thoughts on, or I should say, what I have on these items, extra accessories that I have for my computer. So yeah, so let me give some backstory on my computer builds. My first computer wasn't a build. It was a compact that I bought back in 1997 or 98. I remember my parents buying it, and it was expensive. And at the time, having a computer, it was like luxury. Not everybody had computers back in the 90s. And I remember coming home and you know, trying this new computer, I was just blown away, and you know, surfing the internet, and you know, I don't remember if you could play games other than solitary, Microsoft Solitary, and then after that, I built my first computer, I would say, and it was an AMD. And I bought that maybe like in 2000, and for gaming, honestly, it wasn't that great. It had a very basic graphics card, and my goal here, honestly, with this new computer that I just built this year was to have a computer that would perform really well, not only in games but in video editing and Photoshop editing. And at the end of the day, it did. It actually, I ended up building a computer that that came out great, and I'm happy. So let's get some rundown of my specs of what I'm running on my computer, and then I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts also on Vega 64, my real thoughts, because there's a lot of debate on YouTube about not performing, you know, how it's supposed to be for the price that they're selling it for. So my specs that I have, if you guys are wondering, I have an AMD 1800X Ryzen 7 CPU, which is equivalent to i7, pretty much like the highest that they have. Now they have the Threadripper, which that's like a higher class. You know, in the beginning when I started building this, I was thinking about putting that CPU, but then I heard that it's not that great for gaming. It's better for video editing, and it's better for Photoshop and stuff like that. And you know, my goal here was, you know, to create, or build I should say, something that was great for gaming. And at the end of the day, the Ryzen 7 made sense. So I have a Ryzen 7 with liquid cooling. Originally I had 32 gigs of RAM, but I would say like a week ago I maxed the board now to 64 gigs of RAM. It's great having that type of memory because you know, when it comes to video editing and Photoshop, you know, having that extra RAM comes in handy, just from my experience. I'm using for my motherboard, I'm using an AsRock motherboard, AB350 Pro. It's a good motherboard. I like it because it has front USB 3.0s and even 3.1, and so I like that. Also PCI Express. For my memory storage, I have an SSD that is running my OS and games, and then I have an extra, or I should say I have two extra data hard drives. One is a 3 terabyte, and then the other one is a 1 terabyte. And then let's see, so I got some fans. As you guys can see, I also have a limited edition, an IS case, which this is very limited because it's only going to be available for, I believe, this year only. So it's extremely rare case, and you can't really get this. You have to special order this case to actually get it. So let's get to the main thing that I want to talk about. Originally I had installed a GX 1080, and there was nothing wrong with that. There was everything, you know, everything was running good. But the goal here was to make it a AMD all-round. You know, I wanted to make something that was AMD CPU, AMD motherboard, and then the graphics card. You know, I didn't want to have GX NVIDIA, because that's not AMD. So I decided honestly, that's why one of the reasons why I'm keeping my GX 1080, because if I decide to make Intel build, definitely I would use this graphics card. Now, Vega 64, there's been a lot of debate about how powerful this graphics card is, and I'm gonna go through some rundowns that I'm seeing here. So on paper, we're gonna compare this with let's compare it with the 1080, the 1080 Ti, and the Titan X. Okay, let's see. So for teraflops, okay, Vega 64, the Air version, because this is the Air version that I have. There's a liquid cooling, but that one takes a lot of power. And by the way, I had a 750 watt, but I upgraded to 1,000 watts now that I have. So let's get back to this. So Vega 64, the Air version, has about 12.6 teraflops of computing power. If we compare that with the 1080 Ti, it has 10.6 teraflops, and then the 1080, the regular 1080, has 8.2 teraflops, and then the 1070 has 6.5 teraflops. Now I'm reading this from the official website that's giving me these facts, so if you guys want to check this, they're going to be down below on the video. So what's interesting about this is that on paper, it's a more powerful graphics card, okay, and it's not performing the way I want it to perform, you know, when you compare it. Now, if NVIDIA didn't exist or anything, then obviously this would be a very powerful graphics card, but because GX 1080 Ti exists and 1080, it performs above 1080. From my experience, it's performing like either on par or better than the 1080. Now, it's not on the 1080 Ti, and it's very disappointing, because hopefully AMD can give us better drivers and better just updates, because it seems that we're not getting the full potential what this graphics card can do, and it kind of sucks. Because now, in my real tests that I have done, when it came to video editing, I felt that it performed better than my 1080 GX. When it came to Photoshop editing, same thing. Now, when it comes to games, I would say it's pretty much on par with a 1080 or a little bit better than a 1080, but it's not on a 1080 Ti or a Titan X. But what's interesting is that on paper, this is coming from their official website. I'm comparing it, and it's more powerful, and it has more teraflops. It really doesn't make any sense. So I'm thinking that a lot of these developers, they design their games with the GX 1080 in mind, with the Titan X in mind, so they perform better. And if you kind of see some even games, they even have in the beginning of the intro of their games, they have, it's meant to be played with NVIDIA. So either they have some partnership with them, or they're designed with NVIDIA in mind. And because AMD Radeon has always been kind of like the underdog in terms of their graphics cards compared to NVIDIA, it seems that a lot of developers, their resources and their way of making their games, they make them design with the GX in mind. Now, maybe the future we can get better graphics card updates and drivers and stuff, but at the moment, it's performing, from my experience, on par with a 1080 or a little bit better than a 1080. So hopefully the future for this graphics card, it performs better. Now, if you guys are wondering what kind of graphics card I have, it's the Vega 64 Radeon overclock limited edition, which is pretty cool. And I believe this is only going to be available for this year only. Now, from my experience, I gotta say it takes a lot of power. It does consume a lot of power, and you know, I just hope that it doesn't burn my computer in the future, just because it does take a lot of power. But because I have 1,000 watts, I should be fine, because this is not the liquid. And when it comes to, for example, temperatures, they're pretty high from my experience. I'm getting about 83 to 85. I think that's the highest and no more, because I have used this card intensive in gaming, and that's pretty much the highest, which that's typically normal for a high-end power, that, you know, hunger that takes a lot of power. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on Vega 64, and would I recommend it? To be honest with you guys, unless you guys are a big AMD person, then yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Now, from my experience, I got this card because I always been a big AMD person. I've always had Radeon for some reason. I've always had these type of graphics card, and not really an NVIDIA, you know. But there's nothing wrong with NVIDIA. I think that for your buck, for your money, I think that the GX NVIDIA is a better for your money. So for sure on my next build, it's definitely going to be an Intel with an NVIDIA. But for this one, for this build that I have here, it's going to be my AMD, my baby AMD. And I always have a special place in my heart for this type of build, because I don't know, I just like AMD. It's always been the underdog compared to NVIDIA and Intel, because I've been looking at other YouTubers, and based on their results, it seems that this CPU is better for, you know, multitasking and stuff like that. But it's not bad for me. From my experience, I'm happy. And if you're looking for a good AMD build, then yeah, definitely I will recommend this if you're a person that is a fan of this this company. So this is pretty much it for the video. If you guys want more videos like this, give me a like. I would appreciate that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So this is Power Glove Pixels signing out. Till next time.